Well, Fox News's Dr. Mark Siegel is not happy about all of the Trump cognitive decline talk. And it's natural that that talk is increasing because, after all, Donald Trump did fall asleep 3 or 4 times during yesterday's cabinet meeting. So in comes Dr. Mark Siegel, and he says, angry, this is a disgrace. Cognitive tests, Trump's passing a cognitive test every single day.
Problems. So this is a disgrace because we don't need to see President Trump passing cognitive tests. As you just said, he passes one every single day, every single moment, going in and out of press conferences. I've never seen anything like it, actually.
You know, it's hard to know where to start with this, but I do think it's relevant to remind you that Trump has been given, supposedly, a brain injury screening test. And Trump said it was really hard. We are supposed to believe that the guy regularly given brain injury tests, for some reason we can't totally determine, and says that that test is difficult, is completely fine. Put aside for a moment that he fell asleep 3 or 4 times at yesterday's cabinet meeting and regularly delivers impenetrable word salads, sometimes with words not known in the English language. But Dr. Mark Siegel is defiant and angry. Why would anyone even suggest that? Laura Ingraham says he didn't really fall asleep yesterday. There was one moment where Marco Rubio was talking and Trump closed his eyes for a second. He was just listening. And then Mark Siegel goes, no, he's super sharp.
Siegel, look, there was a moment where, again, social media goes crazy and the left is going crazy after totally deep sixing any concern about Biden for 4 years. And they went crazy because at one point today, when Rubio was talking, President Trump had his eyes closed for, a few seconds. It seemed like a few seconds. But they went crazy. Like, he's sleeping during meetings. Like, your reaction tonight?
I think he seems extremely sharp, and I think this whole thing is a bait and switch. They don't like that he's going after the auto pen stuff because Biden doesn't look like he even knew that he was signing with an auto pen, let alone what he was signing. And
when they are minimizing and explaining, they realize they are losing. And Trump didn't close his eyes once. He seemed asleep at 3 or 4 different times. If the truth wasn't damaging, they would just say, listen, he dozed off 3 or 4 times. These meetings are long. Trump's 79. He's slowing down, but he's still the best possible person for the job. But they can't say that because they know nobody would buy that, especially after the years they spent wildly talking about Joe Biden. Ingraham then bragging about how Trump doesn't need a lot of sleep. And by the way, neither does she. But they will sometimes, both Laura Ingraham and Trump, if people talk too long, why wouldn't you close your eyes?
Well, we all know that he doesn't sleep. I'm not a big sleeper either. So, on occasion, I close my eyes if someone's talking for too long, I admit it. But big deal. I mean, the results speak for themselves. What President Trump does on a daily basis. If you sleep 3 hours or 4 hours a night, you're probably going to close your eyes, whether you're 79 or 49. I don't think that matters.
Yeah, President Trump, Thomas Edison believed in the 10-minute nap, by the way. What would they say? We wouldn't have electricity, right?
Oh, my goodness. Well, Dr. Siegel, we will continue to see them fixate on this after everything they did to cover for Joe.
Yeah, consider the linguistic acrobatics that they are going through to say Trump wasn't sleeping. And by the way, if he was, Thomas Edison would take 10-minute naps. I also don't need a lot of sleep, but if people are talking too long, I'll just close my eyes a little bit. And by the way, does your jaw go slack when you do it? Do you jump, startle, awake when you do it as well? But none of it is sleeping. And then the ire and defiance building, as Dr. Siegel says, why are they even asking about him getting an MRI? Executives get MRIs now. That's a thing. Take a look.
They're going, oh, why is he having an MRI? Well, because that's, by the way, what executives do now. They have MRIs of the heart. Dr. Fuster at Sinai is doing them on a lot of people as screening tests. And he had some leg swelling. They went after that, so he had an MRI. Looks normal. But Biden, by comparison, was not normal. He had medical problems. He had prostate cancer. He had cognitive problems.
Listen, I've been explaining this for months, okay? If this was one of these swanky, executive, Prenuvo style full body MRIs, they could have said that. They could have said that up front. But Trump said he doesn't know why he got the MRI. Trump said he didn't know what body part was scanned. Trump said they didn't know what they were looking for. And now the White House has put out a statement saying it was not a full body screening MRI because Trump is the president of the United States. And by the way, doctors have explained that's not the standard of care. The latest explanation is we were looking at his abdomen and we were looking at his cardiovascular system. They are saying it was not one of those executive MRIs, but the angry and defiant Dr. Mark Siegel, in an effort to defend any old thing that the White House puts out, says this is standard for executives. You know that they're panicked because they are constantly explaining. And when you're explaining in conflicting ways, it's because you're losing and you know you're losing the American people. Thanks for watching. Check out another one of our videos and make sure to subscribe so YouTube keeps our content in your feed. And if you prefer audio, subscribe to the podcast on Spotify or Apple.